Hey, welcome back guys. So in the last video we talked about operators, and then we saw a couple of categories of operators. We saw arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, logical operators, type operators, and yeah, I know it might take a while. A lot of what I attempted to explain here may not really make sense now, but trust me, the more you go on and use this, the more it begins to make sense. Okay, so you just be patient and follow along. It's going to be clearer as you go on. Okay, so now I want to talk about conditional statements. Now, I mentioned in the last video that operators are kind of foundation for building logic in our application. Now I want to look at how we actually build logic and how we actually use these operators, especially the logical operators, to make our code really smart by writing logic and all that. Now conditional statements. So let's say conditional statements are how we give our code the ability to make decision based on certain conditions. Okay, so we can write logic where certain parts of our code runs only when a particular condition is true, and if it's not true, another part of the code runs. Okay, so that is what we use conditional statement for generally in programming and JavaScript. We want to see how we can implement that in JavaScript. So there are different flavors of the conditional statement, but generally we use the if keyword. All right, we use the if keyword, and that is, I mean, the English word if. It's pretty much expresses condition. So if we say if, and then we continue with a bracket, a parenthesis, and inside this parenthesis is where we put the condition that we want to evaluate. So let's assume we are building an application that helps people to vote online. Okay, so the first thing we want to do before we allow anyone vote is we want to check their age. So we want to confirm that they are of legal age and they can vote. Okay, so we want to say if age is less than 18. Okay, so if age is less than 18, what do we want to do? We open the body of the if statement, or just represented by a curly bracket. We can make it span multiple lines. Okay, so if we want to write multiple lines, we can just bring it here and it's more readable. So what do we want to do if the age is less than 18? So we want to just go with this. So it's console.log, you are a child, and so you cannot vote. And then we save that. Okay, so let's go over this again. You start with the if keyword, you specify a condition that must evaluate to true, and then when that condition evaluates to true, this code will run. If this condition does not evaluate to true, this code will never run. It cannot run if the condition doesn't evaluate to true. So we actually have a variable called age, and the value assigned to that variable is 23, which is obviously not less than 18. So we know that this condition is not true, and so for that reason, this line of code will never run. The line of code that tries to log this string to the console, it will not run. So if we look at our console, we're not going to see it on the console because the condition did not evaluate to true. So this is how the most basic usage, the most basic way to use the if statement. So what if I change this condition and I say greater than or equal to 18? Okay, so if I said age equal to 18. Now we still know that age is 23, not 18, so it will still not run. As you can see, nothing in the console. But then let's say I change this and I say greater than or equal to 18. So we know that 23 meets this condition. We know that 23 is greater than 18. So finally, we should be able to see this text in our console. And this time around, it's not going to say you are a child. Of course, the text is not in this case, the text is really not important. But what is important is that the code is running, and it's only running because this condition is true. So we can change it to something more meaningful. So we can say, yes, you are old enough to vote. Is that enough? Correct? Yeah, old enough to vote. Okay, so cool. We know that this condition evaluates to true, so this runs. Now sometimes we want to, this is valid, this is okay, but sometimes we want to extend the logic by providing something else that should happen if the condition does not evaluate to true. Okay, so we know if the condition doesn't evaluate to true, this line will never run. Okay, so now let's go back to this. So let's go back to this being less than 18. Now again, we know this is not going to run because age is 23, which is not less than 18. So now we want to extend this by saying by specifying something else that should happen. So we want to tell our program, okay, yeah, so if this is not equal to 18, like if this is not true, we have an else block. So we do else, and then we do a curly bracket again, and then we put something else. So now we have extended the logic. So we are saying actually it's a string. We say yes, you are old enough to vote. Okay, so which of these lines do you think is going to run? So first of all, it's going to check this condition. If it is true, it's going to run line 24. If the condition is not true, it's going to move ahead to check if there is an else block, and there is an else block. If there is no else block, it stops. But if there is an else block, it goes ahead to run the code inside the else block. So which means you're just saying, if this condition is true, execute this line. Else means if it is not true, execute line 26. So which line do you think is going to run? Of course it's 26, because this condition is not true. It's not true because age is 23, and 23 is not less than 18. Hopefully that makes sense. Now sometimes you can have you instead of just saying if this condition is not true, maybe you want to specify another condition to check for. Okay, so that way you can do else if you put another condition. Okay, so in this case you are saying else if age. Now you already know it is not less than 18, so you can say else if age is greater than 18 and age is less than or equal to 60. Now you are checking for another condition. So first you checked if age is greater than 18 or is less than 18, and if age is not less than 18, so you check if age is greater than 18 and less than 60. Okay, so you are checking for another age group, those that are greater than 18 but less than 60. So what do you want to tell them? Yes, you are old enough. Well, you can just say yes, you are old enough to vote. um I don't know. Yeah, this should be fine. So yeah, and then you can do else. You can just do else if. You can continue doing else if to specify other conditions that are not this and not this. And then when you are done, you can now specify a final else that captures everything. Okay, so hopefully um so this can say too old to vote. Now so this is going to be for people that are greater than 18 and greater than 60, right? So for those, you're going to say you are too old to vote. Okay, so now which, if I change the value of age to 75, now which of the blocks of code you think is going to run? Obviously 75 is not less than 18, so this is not going to run. 75 is greater than 18, but it is not less than or equal to 60, so this shouldn't run. I think this should run. So let's check it out. It says you are too old to vote, and that is because this is not true. Yeah, this is not true. Remember, yes, 75 is greater than 18, so this condition is true. But remember, we are using the AND operator here, which requires that the expression on both sides of the AND operator needs to be true before it can return true. So this is true. Age is greater than 18 because age is 75. But this is not true. Age is not less than 60 and it is not equal to 60 because age is actually 75. So that is why this returned false, because one of them is false. If I had changed this to OR operator, now an OR operator, all it needs is just for one of them to evaluate to true, and just because this evaluated to true, I believe this line of code should run. So let me save it. It says you are old enough to vote, and that is coming from line 26, as you can see, because I'm using the OR operator. Okay, so it says you are old enough to vote because one of these is true. I hope this makes sense, guys. And if you don't understand something, if it's still not clear, feel free to drop me a question in the comment and I'll respond. Okay, so that is how the if statement works. So you have the if, you have the else if, and then you have else. Okay, so that's it, guys. In the next video we are going to start talking about loops, and then in the next one we'll talk about functions, and we would have pretty much covered the basics of programming with JavaScript. So I'll see you guys in the next video.